traveling to Montanejos. It's one of the most popular Valencia day trips, and it's one of the most beautiful natural settings to swim in between Valencia and Castellón. But honestly, I've never visited during the summer months. It's my first time, so I'm really curious about the experience, whether it's going to be worth it or not, because I've been told it's really crazy, a lot of people, and you need to book an entrance in advance. So yesterday I booked my entrances, and the website specified that you need to book those 3-5 days in advance in order for those to be validated. So we'll see whether we'll be able to get to Montanejos without any problems. The idea is to get there around 8 a.m., maybe 8:15, because according to Google it's really crowded. So we'll see whether we'll find some problems on the go or it's gonna be all smooth. So I've hidden from my family to film a bit my impressions about Montanejos. First of all, it's my first time visiting Montanejos in summer. Before, I would always go in September or even in November. I mean, it was quite cold for swimming, but the water was still nice. And then I also went hiking in Montanejos in the off season. So this was my first experience of Montanejos in summer, and I should say it was not as bad as I thought it would be. I thought it would be too crowded, and it was crowded, especially since today is Saturday, but it was not impossible to enjoy the area. I would say from 8 till 10 is the nicest moment. You only had locals swimming there, mainly seniors, and then after 10 it's when most people arrive. The parking was full. We left a car right by the entrance to Fuente de los Baños, like the main area where you get to swim in Montanejos, but this is a paid parking. There is like a machine and you need to pay, and I think we paid around 8 euros, and we were planning to stay till 1 p.m. but we left at 12 p.m. and what I was really surprised to see is when we were leaving, there were so many tourist buses, I think from Valencia, arriving to Montanejos, which was already quite crowded. Is Montanejos worth visiting in summer? My honest opinion, I actually think that if Montanejos is the closest area to where you are to get a refreshing swim, it's nice. Or if you're visiting in the off season, not during the summer months where there are lots of tourists, locals, I think the area is really nice. But personally, In summer, I would rather go to Benicassim or to any other beach area because there are some really nice places to swim, and Montanejos is just small swimming pool. Visiting Montanejos today was actually not my idea. We were going with friends and they have 9 to 5 jobs, so they cannot do it during the week, and they were only available on Saturday, and they decided we should give it a try, and we did, and it was fun. But again, my opinion, in summer I would probably go somewhere else instead of Montanejos. A few years ago, I also did some hiking in Montanejos and I really liked the area, but it was, I think, in December, so it was quite windy, but it was pleasant. It was not really hot, which I assume now might be the main issue because summer in Spain, especially July and August, are really hot months. In Montanejos, you have lots of greenery, but not as much shadow, so I would not enjoy this hike in summer. I would probably go like starting from September, October. So by and large, I liked visiting Montanejos, but in summer, for me personally, it makes much more sense to visit small coastal towns and go to the beach for the swimming experience than going to Montanejos. On the other hand, in the off-season, it's spectacular, it's really beautiful. I will return both for swimming and for hiking because today I saw some new hiking trails in Montanejos I had no idea existed. I've only done Sendero de los Estrechos, which is the most famous hike in Montanejos. So I hope to do the other hikes, and I will definitely return to the area because it's full of pine trees, greenery. I really like it, and it felt refreshing actually. So when we got there around 8 a.m., it was quite cold, and the kids were like, oh my god, it's so cold, we will not be swimming, it's so cold. Then it get better, but I would say it's quite a refreshing area compared to the rest of the small towns nearby. So probably this is why it's always been popular. The pools where you get to swim, Fuente de los Baños, I think it's a few kilometers away from the small town of Montanejos itself. So yes, the parkings nearby are paid parkings, and if you want to park for free, and I think people were leaving their cars because of that in Montanejos, and then they would walk. Also, as we arrived at 8 a.m., everything was closed. There were already people there, but mostly locals, and I assume they start controlling entrances around 9 a.m. because when we were returning, there was already a person checking the entrances, but we bought the entrance and no one checked it. But I still think it's worth paying this small fee, even if no one checked it, because it's the money local authorities use to maintain the area. There was a place to get changed, there were bathrooms, there was even a small coffee shop, even though the coffee shop opened at 10:30, which I felt like was incredibly late. So yes, overall I really like Montanejos, but I will return next time in the off-season. It was too busy for what it was for me personally. Yes, by the way, if you plan to do Montanejos day trip, a few years ago I've also visited Fanzara. It's one of the famous graffiti villages in Spain. This village, they were about to disappear before locals gathered, and they decided to bring international attention through turning the walls of the village into a street art open gallery. For this week, I'm done with traveling. Now I will just go home and have a nice reading moment, quietness. But yes, next week I have a small trip to the villages of Teruel, and I will show you some spectacular hidden gems in Spain. So see you next week.